It is time to spotlight AI and what the future holds for this sector. Steven Dickens is VP and Practice Lead at the Futurum Group and has some data to share about the space. He joins me now right here on the floor at the desk. So good to have you here.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thanks for joining me. So I know you brought some charts and some data with you, but really before we even get into those, talk to us about the big picture. Where are we in this AI boom that we've talked so much about for the past year?
So thank you. It's interesting. Obviously, we've got a big earnings. Just hearing you talking about those starting to come through next week. I was with Antonio Neri, CEO of HPE this morning. It's going to be a little bit of a lag, I think, before that comes through into some of the numbers that the major players are reporting. So there's going to be a maybe even 3 or 4 quarter lag before some of that comes through. Obviously, NVIDIA's early in that, but some of the high performance computing and big deployments take a while to get installed in customers, and the vendors can't recognize revenue until that's the case. So I think a lot of hype, everybody's talking AI right now, it's capturing the zeitgeist in the market, but I think for some of those bigger OEM vendors, it's going to take a while to reflect in their numbers.
So on that note, what should we expect then this earnings season if this is still a tell me versus show me quarter?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting. We're seeing it happen by sector and by solution. So maybe some of those software vendors, we've seen Microsoft with Copilot bring out some of that. You may start to see that earlier because it's a SaaS subscription model. But for some of those hardware vendors, maybe a little bit more of a lag. So I think looking at the sector as a whole, we're going to start to see AI come through, but it may be a little early for some of the hardware plays.
Okay, so I mentioned you brought some charts and data with us. I know that you kind of have an industry breakdown based on compound annual growth rates in terms of revenue. So fill us in on the sectors or the industries that are poised to benefit most from this AI wave.
Yeah, so our Futurum Intelligence team is looking out and tracking the market through 27. We see big sectors like media, entertainment, telco, healthcare, financial services all growing at 25% plus CAGR through 27. But that's spread. You know, the new data coming through, we'll see education, energy and utilities and real estate be laggards. So whilst AI is going to come through across the space, it's going to be very different from a vertical adoption perspective.
And what about in terms of retail?
So retail's up there. I think that's going to be one of the areas. We're starting to see vision and smart stores. Amazon Go is an example with cashierless stores, if you've tried one of those.
I go all the time now. There's one here right near the exchange, and I didn't realize how easy it would be.
It's fantastic. Just go in, scan, computer vision, being able to augment the experience there. I think those are early days, but we're going to start to see those come through. I was out with Lenovo this week at their headquarters in Raleigh, and there's lots of things in the pipeline that they're demonstrating coming through for retail. Real explosion there, smart shelf edges, really the ability to be able to move stock through quicker, not having to print things out, being able to, as I say, bring computer vision into the store. Really top line, but also addressing shrinkage and some of those staffing costs.
So you mentioned you were with HPE, you mentioned you were with Lenovo.
Busy week this week.
Yes, so you've been hobnobbing here. So tell us really key takeaways. Is it all about AI right now? Is that their main focus? Because these are companies that also have a fair share of headwinds in front of them as well.
Yeah, so I was, as I say, at the HPE Securities Analyst briefing just here yesterday. All AI questions. Justin, who leads AI for them, was getting peppered with questions in the Q&A afterwards. But I met with, as I say, Antonio this morning. Compute's not dead was the takeaway sentence. Still represents a $12 billion business for them. So I think whilst the hype's there, still some strong fundamentals from HPE. They put guidance out that they're seeing growth in the 2 to 4% range over the next few years. So I think it was strong guidance. I think the market's reacted not to some of the nuance in that guidance. I think Antonio was frustrated, certainly when I met him this morning, that the message wasn't getting through. I know he's hitting some of the networks today to try and provide some context, but really strong position from them.
Yeah, you're pointing because he's just over here on the other side of the floor.
I didn't want to mention it.
We didn't. Yeah, HPE stock down about 6.5%. But should we think about AI on a company's balance sheet as a line item that only gets bigger with time? Because companies are still cutting costs. They're very focused on budgets at this point. So can we compare it to like a cybersecurity, which is one of those areas of tech that should only stand to grow versus actually get cut?
Yeah, exactly. I think enterprises, as they look to deploy AI, are going to be looking at it as a way to differentiate how they provide service to their end users. Also, how they look to address that. We've got some data come through around some of the software deployments, process optimization, predictive analytics, visual and audio analytics as key software areas. All of those are going to grow based on the Future of Intelligence data at 23% CAGR through 2027. So I think you capture it correctly. It's going to be interesting to see how that's deployed.
So when you look specifically at AI cloud computing revenue, what's the forecast there?
So CAGR that we predict through 2027 based on Future of Intelligence data is at 25.3%. Okay. So I think HPE, Lenovo, some of the other players, we've got Amazon reporting next week. They would play into that as well with some of their inferentia and training play. I think it's going to start to come through and start to reflect. I just think we should be aware that it's not going to all come this quarter.
Right, and I think that we need to see if this is a market that will be patient enough. So what's going to separate the winners from the losers?
I think from my conversations with the HPE team and the Lenovo teams this week, it's the focus on the complete stack. Yes, we've got the data showing 25.3 on the compute, but it's also the software play. You look at where NVIDIA's built a moat around CUDA. It's not just having GPUs and fast processors. You've got to be able to go broader than that and move up the stack.
All right, we have to leave it there, but really appreciate all of your insights, your charts, and your data. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, that's Steven Dickens of the Futurum Group.